Last week, we chatted with intuitive healer Nadia Last about human design and how it can be used to help us align with our highest selves. Well, this week, Nadia's opening up about different practices she uses with clients to help them heal from fear and trauma. We're chatting with Nadia about meditation, inner child work, and more. This is Advocate Now. Well, Nadia, as an intuitive and a healer, you use a multitude of different practices when working with your clients, like meditation, journaling, identifying limiting beliefs. How can these practices create breakthroughs for people in their lives?
I think what it really comes down to is recognizing that we all have the answers within us, and people are surprised once they start getting still and quiet how much exists here. However, our world is so full of distraction. If we're not careful, we can spend our entire days taking in podcasts, watching videos like this, talking with other people. We can spend our entire lives actually never feeling the sense of solitude and ability to tap inward. So for me, I start each session with at least just a 5-minute body scan to reconnect to the wisdom that exists within our bodies. Our bodies really do have all the answers. I'm working with someone, I think that my first piece of advice is spending each morning journaling, what does my spirit want me to know today? And then just journaling whatever ends up coming through. And there's a lot of wisdom that can happen in that simple practice alone.
It's so easy to get caught up, as you mentioned, in our day-to-day lives, which can create a lot of anxiety and worry. And sometimes it can be really difficult to differentiate between anxiety and intuition. So any tips on how to separate those two voices and ultimately strengthen the voice of intuition?
Yes. This is such a big question in our collective right now because people are wondering, how can I trust that my body is trying to keep me safe instead of keeping me in a state of alarm or nervousness about the future? So how you can tell the difference: intuition is the voice of the soul. You will always feel calm. You will always feel the sense that everything is exactly how it's meant to be. Everything is happening on time, and everything is happening exactly as it's meant to. So from that place, you can really trust, I'm getting an intuitive nudge to connect with Sonia today, to take this interview. I'm getting an intuitive nudge to reconnect with a parent figure that maybe I haven't connected with because I've been setting boundaries around. The voice of fear and anxiety is anticipating an outcome that is negative. It's trying to protect yourself from something that might be fear-based. And from that place, I would say that is the voice of trying to keep your body safe. And anxiety is usually protecting you. The body remembers anything that happened to you that was too fast or too scary. And so anxiety is usually trying to protect you from something like that happening again.
So when you have like that fearful emotion or thought pop up and all of a sudden you run to do something to remedy it, I mean, sometimes you can feel as if that's a warning sign from your body trying to warn you of something. But are you saying that's simply just fear because it's accompanied by that feeling of anxiety?
It's complicated because sometimes our body's anxiety, it's just our body's alarm system. Sometimes our bodies, because we went through experiences that were traumatic or scary or terrifying, our alarm bells don't stop ringing because we were never able to get ourselves out of that scary situation when we were younger. So that fear is stored in our bodies. However, sometimes we are responding in the present moment, and there are fearful or scary things that are happening that our body is trying to protect us from. Learning the subtle nuance in, is my body responding to something that happened before that was never resolved, or is my body responding in the present, can take some time. And it all comes back to getting really present and connected to the body to know the difference.
Well, you also do inner child work with your clients. I want to talk about that for a moment because it can be so powerful. For those who don't know, what is inner child work?
How I simply explain it to people is that you, Sonia, we all are all of the ages that we've ever been up until this point. And if there are experiences that happened where our inner younger selves were neglected or their needs weren't met, despite the best intentions by caretakers and caregivers, we're actually going back and rescuing those parts of ourselves and saying, okay, it's all right. I'm going to take care of you now. And really being the kind and loving and attuned parent that we might not have had at any given time in our life.
And a big part of inner child work is releasing and making peace with the past. Would you say that that's a vital step in healing trauma and moving forward in life?
Absolutely. I call it owning your narrative. I think there are so many experiences that happened to us that we didn't have control over, especially when we were children and we were dependent on our caretakers for all of our needs. That really rescuing that part of ourselves and saying, hey, that happened to you, but that is not you. So you're not suppressing your story, you're owning it. And then ultimately it can release its hold over you.
I remember working with an energy healer, and she asked me to look at the younger version of myself and almost love her, embrace her, view her with compassion, forgive her, encourage her to forgive herself. And that one activity was so incredibly transformative for me. Would you say that healing your relationship with your younger self can transform your future self?
Yeah. And even as you're saying that, I'm feeling the emotion that's present for so many who will watch this video, thinking of younger versions of themselves. I often ask people to ask themselves, what did I need to hear growing up that I didn't hear? Maybe from teachers, parents, grandparents. Often people will say, I didn't hear that someone was proud of me enough. I didn't hear that I was smart. I didn't hear that I was loved. And so even those simple things, just telling yourself that now, we have a very loud critical voice in our head that we were not born with. We take it in from societal conditioning, from perhaps critical or nagging parents or teachers or peers. And so our critical voice can be very loud. Inner child healing is about bringing in a more loving, compassionate, caring voice and turning up the volume on that voice so you can turn down the voice on that critical parent.
Yeah, you mentioned societal conditioning, and it really is such a practice to differentiate between what is your true own inner voice and the voices that just keep replaying in your head that maybe was your mom's voice who said something when you were a child, or your dad's voice, or another family member or friend. So how can we really kind of separate and identify where the voices are coming from? I mean, personally, I did it through meditation and hypnosis, and I was able to go back to an instance in my childhood, and I could hear my dad talking, and I thought, that's a pattern that came from him. That's not even mine. I need to release that. But, are there other ways that you can do it?
Yeah. So I would say for anybody listening or watching this right now, just realizing that you are not all of these voices. You are not your emotions. You are not your thoughts. You are not your parents. You are not your teachers, the societal conditioning. You are the part that experiences and observes all of that. That is the soul part. And I'm touching my chest because I feel like that part of us, it's in our bodies. It's not in our minds. And so even just recognizing that you can peel back your awareness behind all of your thoughts, experiences, emotions, and identities is a really, really powerful practice. Not to dismiss them, not to bypass them, but then from that observer state, you can start to realize, wow, I have so many different parts in my psyche. And what we're talking about is actually parts work, internal family systems, which is another modality, therapeutic modality of recognizing that, we have this inner child, we have this inner parent, and all the different voices, and continuing to come back to that still, quiet center, our soul, for healing.
Are there any other practices you can share that might help people heal their relationship with their inner child?
Oh, there's so many different practices, Sonia. I think that journaling is really powerful. I love tarot. I know that tarot is finally becoming more popularized, and there was a lot of fear around tarot as witchcraft, but simply put, tarot is a stack of cards, and each one contains a theme that humans go through in their lives. And so just sitting in a quiet space, again, quiet is such a big piece for healing, pulling a card, asking, what do I need to know right now? And then journaling about what comes up. That's a big tool. I think being in nature, we forget it. It's so over, it's kind of trite, but when you're really alone with yourself in nature, there's a lot of healing there because Mother Nature, this mother energy, we can really feel the sense of healing, inner child healing, just being with the trees, being outside, feeling the sun on our face.
Completely. Nadia, thank you so much for your insight and wisdom and for spending some time with us today.
Thank you for your beautiful question, Sonia.
I'm Sonia Baghdadi. Thanks for watching and advocating. For more stories and content like this, visit advocate.com and advocatechannel.com.